stuff that's not an idle service.
Yeah, definitely. You guys can see why.
You just got to keep hammering away doing stuff like this. No cool off.
Okay, quiet in the court. The Adapt Supreme Court justices are entering the room, order in the court.
I didn't know no one found. That's my pocket.
So, as many of you are aware, we are at the U.S. Supreme Court building, and because the Affordable Care Act has been before the Supreme Court, with people saying they could render a decision as early as June on whether or not all or parts of the Affordable Care Act are going to be constitutional and therefore valid law, is of extreme concern to ADAPT. And because of that, we decided that we need to make sure that there's a hearing for the people with an ADAPT Supreme Court and to hear from ADAPT witnesses, so our ADAPT justices can make an informed ruling to help the Supreme Court and the public know what the right decision needs to be on this. Because as you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you ADAPT? All right, proceed.
Hear me? I think it's clear today that we are here because for the last 20 years we've been fighting to end the institutional bias. When they set up Medicaid in the 1960s, the only entitlement that you had was to a nursing home. And now, more than 40 years later, still the only entitlement that any of us have, if we are no longer able to meet our daily needs on our own, is to a nursing home. And this is called the institutional bias. And the Affordable Care Act goes a long way toward ending that institutional bias. And we fought long and hard so that people don't have to go into a nursing home, so that they can choose to live in their own homes. And this Supreme Court here today has within their power to either keep that going and enforce our civil rights, or to take that all away in one fell swoop.
Set aside because of the way my body is. I should be able to just have the things that I need taken care of based on the fact that I'm a human being and not on some label that should be on a jar and not on a person. And that people who use the services should be able to control those services. They shouldn't be put out there and somebody else deciding, well, you need 10 minutes of that and 15 minutes of this other thing. That if your laundry takes 20 minutes, you know about that. And if you don't want to spend your time taking a shower every day and you want to sometimes spend that time doing something else, that's your choice, that's your right. And that you should have the right to not just be stuck at home to get your services, but that you should be able to get out in the community and get them, and move around and do things. I mean, that's what life is about living. Aren't we about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness? There's only just so much of that you can achieve in a home. You have to get out into the community and do things. If I'm going to go to school, or if I'm going to get a job, or any of those kinds of things, if I want to go to church and worship, or don't want to go to church and worship, if I want to go out under a tree and worship, well, you know, I should be able to do that. And if I need some help from an attendant to do it, then I should be able to do it. And that's what this bill is about, and that's part of why it's so important. It's not the whole thing, but it's a very important part. And to throw that out is throwing out the baby with the bathwater, and that's just not the right way to go. And you just need to keep this law the law of the land and not mess around with people's lives anymore. People's lives are hanging in the line here. That's what the bottom...
Good morning, Misters and Madams Justices. I'm here to ask for your assistance. Before long, all of the Medicaid funds that have been allocated for my services, my life, to keep me alive and keep me in the community are going to be spent. And I'm going to have no one to provide the services I need to keep me out of it, out of an institution. I refuse to go back to an institution, and I'm here to ask you to be ready to take care of me. I'm going to be camped out in the U.S. Supreme Courthouse looking for people to take care of me because I refuse to go back to a nursing home. I refuse to go back to an institution.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you adapt?
My name is Laura Hall, and I'm from Michigan. When I was little, I grew up believing that I could be anything I wanted to be. And when I got older, I spent 8 years in school pursuing my dream of becoming a social worker and acquiring an income for myself and health insurance. When I got my first job, I was back to realize that I wasn't receiving health insurance like all my other coworkers, simply because I was born with cerebral palsy, and the insurance company thought that I was too expensive. I want to ask you, what makes the value of my work, my labor, less than someone else who doesn't sit in a wheelchair? Why am I not valued enough to receive even basic health insurance when I'm a paying taxpayer as part of this country? The other thing about the Affordable Care Act is that I have attendants that I can't provide health insurance to. They need to be taken care of medically so that they can take care of me. The Affordable Care Act would allow us to have insurance as well. I also would like to ask you to keep the Affordable Care Act as it's written to allow pre-existing conditions to be covered under insurance.